I'm Harrison Kett, and I'll be your host for this evening's interview. Tonight, I'm joined by HIST3455 student Zachary Turner for a book review of Laurence Rees's Hitler and Stalin. Let's get down to business. Hey, Mr. Turner. Thanks for coming on.
Pleasure to be here.
So, Zachary, why don't we begin with a short overview of the novel?
Certainly. The novel commences with the signing of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact in August of 1939 and follows both of the leaders throughout the Second World War until Hitler's eventual death in April 1945. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact is an interesting starting place for the novel, as it shows the ideologically opposed leaders coming together for mutual gain. As the pact is portrayed as destined to fail, it acts as a catalyst for the ensuing feuding between Hitler and Stalin that is carried out throughout the novel. The novel continues by examining the two leaders through their machinations and decision-making, interactions with subordinates, and their visions for their nations. The overarching questions explored throughout the novel are: how were Stalin and Hitler similar, and where did they differ? As well as, to what extent did Hitler and Stalin shape the times, or to what extent were they consequently shaped by the times?
Very interesting indeed. How would you describe the author's approach to the novel? Does Rees offer a unique perspective?
Rees utilises a plethora of first-hand accounts in the novel, thus providing many unique perspectives towards Hitler and Stalin. For example, one of the most striking accounts comes from Margaret Buber-Newman, a German communist who experienced captivity in both a Soviet labour camp and a German concentration camp. The cruelty endured by Buber-Newman by both regimes reveals an overarching theme throughout the novel of similarities between Hitler and Stalin. This approach by Rees to reveal and explore similarities and differences between Hitler and Stalin is the driving force behind the novel. Examples of other similarities explored by Rees include loathing towards the Polish people and state, the use of secret police, the Gestapo and NKVD, the use of mass deportation to reorder their countries, the Jewish population in Germany, and the Kalmyk ethnic group of Russia. The differences between the two leaders are also revealed through the author's approach to compare and contrast the leaders. Perhaps the most polarising difference, revealed through the author's approach, is Hitler's fanatical obsession for expansion, whereas Hitler was more concerned with consolidation for the Soviet Union. Hitler needed more land and resources for his idealistic Lebensraum. The German Volk needed this to thrive according to Hitler, and thus it became a matter of by any means necessary for the German military. Ironically, however, Stalin was not as concerned with communist expansion, despite it being a declared aim of the Bolshevik Party. Stalin did seize land when the opportunity presented itself, such as the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, which divided the Polish spoils between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union, but it was not as pressing of an issue for Stalin. This links to another key difference depicted in the novel. Hitler mainly authorised the killing of foreigners, most prolifically the murder of Jewish people in German-occupied territories, whereas Stalin mainly committed atrocities against Soviet citizens. Examples include the Great Purges through the Soviet military ranks and the mass deportation of perceivedly threatening ethnic groups such as the Volga and the Kalmyks. Rees's first-hand account approach reinforces this with the words of Alexei Badmaev, who was deported despite being awarded a Medal of Honor fighting on the front line at the Battle of Stalingrad. To quote Alexei, "When I learned of the Kalmyk deportation, it was a shock for me that I haven't recovered from. What was I fighting for? What was I spilling my blood for?"
You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention. Bravo, Mr. Turner. It appears as though this novel links well with your global Age of Revolution course. Could you perhaps delve into the matter more deeply? Could you contextualize the novel in the thematic field and discussions of the HIST3455 course?
Certainly. There are several key themes and paradigms throughout the text that link it closely with the Global Age of Revolution course. Firstly, the paradigm of fear surrounding revolution was a prominent concern for both Hitler and Stalin throughout the Second World War. Several attempts were made on Hitler's life during World War II, and Stalin was never entirely trusting of anyone around him, and he therefore went to a great deal of effort to eliminate any potential revolutionary groups or individuals. Hitler believed that the implementation of his final solution would eliminate the revolutionary nucleus. Stalin knew firsthand how swiftly established order could collapse, and was thus hypersensitive to any potential threat within the Soviet state. Another recurring theme throughout the novel and the Global Age of Revolution course is the idea of utopian civilizations and the pursuit of this goal. Albeit Hitler and Stalin envisioned very different utopias, but the concept was the same. As both men rejected the ideas of religion, the pursuit of an unattainable paradise filled them with purpose. This notion was prevalent in revolutions throughout history. Take, for example, the Restoration Revolution, spearheaded by Mussolini in Italy. The idea of restoring Italy to its ancient Roman greatness was impossible, yet it was pursued by many relentlessly. The paradigms that Rees hones in upon are ripe within the history of revolution. However, it is hard to find two men who pursued them so relentlessly as Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin, thus making them incredibly important when studying the Global Age of Revolution course.
Sounds to be a very engaging and thoughtful piece. Are there, however, any limitations to the text?
Although the surplus of primary sources are fascinating, Rees's arguments could use some more secondary source material to help bolster his stances. Rees is careful to highlight any bias within the first-hand accounts, but throughout the novel, one can find themselves slipping into the pattern of taking everything verbatim.
How would you describe your overall reading experience, and what did you learn whilst reading?
The structure of the novel is excellent and provides the reader with an uncomplicated journey throughout the Second World War. It provides an almost as the crow flies experience, watching everything occur step by step. The wealth of knowledge provided by Rees's first-hand accounts can once again not be understated, as they are truly fascinating. The reader is constantly reminded about the heartless atrocities authorised and overseen by Stalin and Hitler from the very people these atrocities were committed against. This novel also links with the major essay question from the Global Age of Revolution course regarding Stalin's betrayal of the Communist Revolution, placing more thought towards consolidating power within the Soviet Union than communist expansion, as well as the humiliating invasion of Finland in 1939, are just two examples of plenty where Stalin betrays the Communist Revolution.
Well, thanks, Mr. Turner. Well, folks, that's all we have time for this evening. We hope you learnt something and enjoyed your time with us. As always, your host, Harrison. Good night and good luck.